Hi everyone, my name is Tracy Gergich and I am a lecturer here at Arizona State University and I am also the DPD director. So this lecture overview is going to be describing how to apply for a dietetic internship. So there's actually, before we even get into how to get into an internship, let's back up and talk about the steps to become a dietitian, registered dietitian nutritionist. So first is the step that you're in currently. So complete an accredited DPD program. So ASU, we have an accredited DPD program and you are completing those classes while you're completing your Bachelor's of Science in Nutrition with a concentration in dietetics. Now there are some students who come back, maybe have different degrees, and only have to complete the specific DPD classes. And so for those individuals, they would just need to complete the DPD classes and then they would then be eligible to go on to step number 2. So once you complete your degree or you have your DPD classes underway, you can apply, and the second step is to be admitted and complete successfully a dietetic internship. And this is what the bulk of this presentation will be about. And then third, completion of the National Board Registration Exam. So the first is how to find out where internships are and find out a little bit about them. So you can go to this link that's listed here, and it provides you all the different internships that are all around the country, and you can actually sort them by state. But really, you want to probably start thinking about where you want to go, where you want to live and want to be for the next 9 months, maybe longer if you do a graduate degree. So if you have family, maybe that are in the East Coast, maybe you want to start researching internships where maybe you have family located or where you think you want to eventually live. Maybe you want to stay only here in Arizona. So you want to just research the internships that potentially you're interested in. You want to go to their websites and look at what their program is all about. Now, some programs will have more of an emphasis on clinical over another. They're all required to meet certain hours and specific hours in certain areas. So feel confident that you're going to get a good experience regardless, but maybe you have an interest more in public health. For instance, the Maricopa County internship here in Arizona. Theirs is specifically, or they're geared more towards community nutrition, so they may have additional rotations in a community site. So if that's of interest to you, maybe you're going to look at internships with more of an area of emphasis that you're looking for. Some of the internships actually have virtual open houses. More and more of them are doing this, so I encourage you to do this if you find an internship that actually is going to have an open house, a virtual open house. Attend those events, ask questions, and find out more about their program. So as mentioned, Arizona has a variety of internships. Here at ASU, we have 3 different tracks. We have the non-degree track, and the emphasis on admission there is emphasis on work experience. So maybe not necessarily looking at GPA as much, but looking at what have you done in your own work experience. Then we have the MS thesis track, so you're getting your MS, your graduate degree, in addition to the DI, the internship. And the emphasis here is on research. Obviously, since you're doing your thesis, that's research-based. They look at, do you have an area, or if you're interested in research, you have an idea of what you want to do. And then the third track is the VA MS track, so you also get your master's while you're completing this track. Obviously, the emphasis here is on veterans health. There are 2 locations for the VA MS track, here in Phoenix and then in Prescott. Maricopa County, their emphasis is on community nutrition, like I mentioned previously. This is a regular non-degree internship, meaning you do not get a graduate degree out of this. And they also have a WIC internship, and this does require you to work for WIC for a certain amount of time prior to applying for that internship. So if that's an area of interest to you, you may want to investigate working for WIC and then applying for their internship. Southwestern dietetic internship, emphasis on the Native American population. This is a pretty small internship. It's got a lot of benefits in the fact that you are with the DI director the majority of the time. It is located here in Phoenix, but I know they do travel up north to some of the reservation Navajo area to get some experience up there. And then there are 2 in Tucson, Banner Health and Rondelet Health in Tucson. Both of these are more focused on clinical as they are located in a medical facility. To look for more information, I would suggest looking at their websites to find out more about them. So as far as applying for an application, all internships, or I would say the majority of them, go through what's called DICUS, or the Dietetic Internship Coordinated Application System. I believe that's what it's called. But it's essentially a centralized application system where you are submitting your application, and they allow you to do this twice a year, and there's 2 dates that to be aware of. So there's a spring application round and a fall application round. The spring is typically due around Valentine's Day, around February 15th or they're close to, and those internships will start in the summer or fall of that year. There's also a fall application date due around September, and most start in January of the following year. You are eligible to start applying once you are set to graduate before an internship start date. So this is typically in your last semester of your degree. And DICUS, there are specific things that you have to follow, which we'll get into in just a moment. But a little bit about internships. As I mentioned, all are accredited and all meet quality standards of ASCEND, which is the accrediting body for internships and DPD programs. All must provide at least 1,200 hours of practice in these 3 areas: clinical, food service, and community or public health. So you are assured to get the same or similar experience in any internship in these 3 areas. Additionally, as mentioned, you may have rotations that reflect interest of the intern or of the program. So if you are in a program that is interested in, or has more of an emphasis on clinical, maybe you'll have more rotations within the clinical environment. So it will just depend on the internship that you are in. So deciding where to apply, as mentioned, think geographically. Where do you want to live? Program emphasis potentially. Financial is definitely something to think about. Some are more expensive than others. If they have a graduate degree, it's going to cost you more, but you can potentially then qualify for financial aid. If you are getting any kind of credit hours out of it, typically you will qualify then for a student loan. You want to look at the length of time. On average, they range from 9 months for a traditional DI without a graduate degree, anywhere to 2 to 3 years, depending on how long it takes you to complete your master's. And there are also some that have specific qualifications or preferences of their candidates, so that can play a part of it as well. There are internships that are called distance internships. These are a little bit different in the regard that you are in charge of arranging your preceptors. So you, the student, have to find your rotations for your clinical, your food service, and your community. So you must find all of these rotations before your application is due. And as you can imagine, this can be challenging, and it's challenging particularly here in Arizona where we don't have a lot of preceptors that are available that aren't already taking interns. So you might be more successful in doing this if you apply or look for rotations outside of the Phoenix metro area. So if you are in Yuma, maybe Flagstaff or Sierra Vista, you might be able to find preceptors who aren't currently taking interns that would be willing to take you on as an intern. You'll need to review the requirements for the sites on the program website and make sure you follow the directions to complete all the necessary forms to apply for those distance internships. So these individuals who are typically successful in distance options are self-directed, and they're very organized because they've had to organize their entire internship on their own, ensuring that they meet all the required hours for the accreditation standards. Another option is called an ISPE, and this is a pretty new option. ISPE stands for Individualized Supervised Practice Pathways. And these are only available in 2 instances. First, you apply to an internship but you did not match, or you hold a doctoral degree without a DPD. So really, your option would be number 1, unless you go on to get a doctoral degree and you don't have a DPD, but all of you going through this program have your DPD, so you really only would qualify for the first one once you apply and do not match. How do internships decide? Well, it really depends on the internship. They do look at your GPA, so I'm not going to tell you that they don't. They will look at your total GPA, and many of them look at your DPD classes because sometimes you come in, you've maybe changed your major, maybe you were a psych major and then you went into dietetics, and maybe you didn't do so great as a psych major, and so your overall cumulative GPA isn't all that great. But once you found your love of dietetics and the DPD courses were really more of your interest, you did much better. And so your DPD GPA is more reflective of that. So most programs do look at both your total cumulative GPA as well as your DPD GPA. If you are looking at a master's program, they will look at your GRE scores. Most programs have a cutoff of a requirement for your GRE scores, so be aware of that if you're applying. They do look at your work experience and volunteer experience, and dietetic related and non. This is quite valuable and important, so don't dismiss any experience, work or otherwise, that you have had. Make sure you list everything. While you may think it's insignificant, it really does add up. So if you volunteered at an animal shelter for a summer feeding cats, I don't know, something to that effect, not necessarily dietetics related, still put it on your application because it all does count when it comes down to it. The internships also look at your letters of recommendation. The rule of thumb here is 2 academic and 1 work related. If you've been out for a while and you've been out, meaning graduated for a while, and you have more work experience, having 2 work letters of recommendation and 1 academic is considered okay. It's just going to depend on the program. So just make sure you review the program's requirements. Some of them say it's optional on which letters of recommendations you get. Some really do require 2 academic and 1 work. So be conscientious of that. You will need to upload a personal statement, and this is quite crucial. This gives you a voice. It sets you apart from all of your competitors, and it really does tell the internship directors why you want to be a part of their program. Make sure it's specifically written for that program. Do not be generic. Don't just say, I love nutrition, I like food, I love food, and I just want to be an RD. Okay, that's not going to get you even probably an interview. It needs to be very specific to you, your story. The more you can tell a story about yourself, the more interesting you've written it, the better you're going to capture the attention of that director, the more likely they'll put you on their match list. So pay special attention to your personal statement. Take time to write it. You cannot write it in a day or overnight. It's going to take a while. And Career Center is very good at helping students with personal statements, and it's well worth the time invested. Additionally, internships decide if you are in the running, if you followed instructions. If you'd missed a document, if you didn't answer a question, you're going to be thrown out regardless of how great your GPA is. So make sure you follow all the instructions for that internship and that you have a well done, well written professional application. In addition, specific to the program, maybe you speak Spanish, maybe you have research experience, those all play into the decision process. So how do you apply? Well, first you decided what programs. Remember that whole list, where you're going to go, how much does it cost? So that's step 1. Then you complete your application through DICUS. And then you complete a ranking of your programs through D&D Digital, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But that's the 3rd step, one that you definitely don't want to forget about. I think a lot of students focus on number 2, which is important. That DICUS application can be a bear to get through, but you don't want to go through that whole process and then forget part 3, which is actually your ranking of your programs and letting the programs know that you exist. Okay, so let's talk about DICUS, Dietetic Internship Centralized Application System. I think I misspoke when I said what it was before, but here's the actual term for it, DICUS. Most programs are participating. There's the portal for you to access. There is a fee for every time you apply, so $45 for the first program, and then $20 for each additional. I've had students ask me, if there's a magic number of programs to apply to, and honestly, I just say apply to the programs you'd be willing to accept. If there's only really one program you want to get into, then just apply to that one. If there are 4 that are out there that are all equal in your mind, you would be happy to get into any of them, then apply to the 4. You just have to be mindful that there's a cost associated with each that you apply to, so you need to keep that in consideration. Dicus has done a nice job in creating a couple YouTube videos, so I've included the links here. Watch them at your leisure. They are very helpful in learning how to navigate the application. That's basically how I learned. When I was in your shoes as a student, we didn't have Dicus, so I didn't really know much about it. So how I've learned is using the YouTube channel and just playing around with the application system. So I encourage you to do the same. It's pretty self-explanatory as far as how to navigate it, and the videos will help you with that too. Okay, so the third piece, D&D Digital, this is where you rank your programs that you're applying to. So if you are applying to 4 different programs, you need to let the application and the different sites know what your preferences are, and this is how you do that. So obviously your very first choice is you're going to rank that number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and so forth. So the application deadline for your D&D Digital is the same as Dicus. So your application is not complete until you do this. There is another fee of $55 to do this, so make sure that you're keeping that in mind. And you'll want to make sure that the applications that you're applying to follow the same timeline. Okay, some applications, some programs will actually require you to do your Dicus application sooner than the standard deadline of February and September. So just be mindful of that, because your D&D Digital ranking would be due the same time as your application deadline. So I know of a few programs that may have an application of January, which is kind of crazy, but they do that. And so you need to have everything online by January, including your D&D Digital application. So there's the portal or the website listed on this on the screen there. So you'll want to create an account and make sure that you rank your programs when you are about ready to submit your Dicus application. So in Dicus, it's going to ask you what your DPD college is, and you're going to indicate ASU. You are going to list any other college that you've ever attended, and that's including any community colleges, even if it was when you were in high school and you were taking a computer class. It doesn't matter. It's any other college you ever attended, and you have to send your transcripts from each of those. And it's okay to submit your Dicus application without all of your transcripts being in, as long as you've requested them and indicate that on your application. And it's very, very common for them not to be all in before your application's due. So don't stress. As long as you've requested the application or the transcripts, you can still submit your application without them being uploaded. Okay. You are going to have to spell out your DPD professional and science courses. So you're going to be asked to list each of those and when you completed it and the grade. And it's also going to ask you to upload a DPD course list as a PDF document, and you will get that from me, your DPD director. I will also have it on the ASU Blackboard site here that you've located this specific lecture. So you just want to make sure you access that to upload it. It's essentially a reference list for any of the programs to understand what is NTR 241. Okay, we all know what that is because we've been here and it's drilled into our head. But if I'm an internship director in North Dakota, I may have no clue what NTR 241 is. So it's a reference sheet for those directors to utilize. So here's my contact information. If you're going to have to put that on your Dicus application, so put my email address listed here on the screen. You will request either a verification statement if you've already graduated, or a declaration of intent if you haven't graduated. So most of you are probably in that position. If you ask for a declaration of intent, you need to email me a list of your courses, DPD only, that you were currently enrolled in. Because I don't have access to everybody's transcripts, I have no idea what classes you have left outstanding in order to graduate. So you'll need to send that to me in an email so I can complete this on your behalf. If you don't send me a list, I won't be able to complete this part for you, and then you'll have an incomplete application. So don't let that happen. And I'm pretty quick about getting this done because I know it's on your to-do list. So as soon as you send that to me and I get a notification from Dicus, I'll get it done for you. Transcripts. As I mentioned, your official transcripts from all your colleges. Use the form that's provided by DICUS. There's a form for you to go to submit them. It gives a specific address on where the college needs to send the transcripts. You do need to wait until your grades have posted, but if you're graduating this semester, you don't wait till you've graduated. You just send your current transcripts, okay, and then you would send your transcripts once you've graduated. And of course your DPD course, as I mentioned already. They will ask for a personal statement, and you could have multiple personal statements. If you have multiple programs you're applying to, put in different personal statements for each of them. Okay, don't use a generic one. It looks like you're lazy and that you haven't done put a lot of effort into it. And you'll need a resume. That you can stay and have the same resume for each application. You don't need to alter that or tailor it. And then your references. The references you'll put in using email addresses. So make sure you ask your reference first before you put in their email address to ask for a reference. It is kind of awkward, speaking from experience, to get a DICUS email asking for a letter of reference from a student I hadn't even talked to about having a letter of reference. So make sure you ask your professors and your work supervisors first before putting in their email address in the DICUS application. What happens on our end for the reference person is we get an email address or an email from DICUS with a link, and we access that link and then fill out a reference for the individual and upload a letter. As I mentioned before, your general rule of thumb is 2 professors and then 1 professional reference. So this is kind of talking about computer matching, and unfortunately the numbers didn't come through. It just shows bullets. So what this is trying to show is my ranking. So pretend those bullets are in numbers. So 1 would be Maricopa. I put Maricopa as number 1. Number 2 I put as Iowa, 3 Florida State, 4 ASU, and then 5 the San Diego VA. Okay, so I ranked Maricopa number 1. So Maricopa, they ranked Sam as number 1 and number 2, Mary number 3, and so forth. And I'm all the way down at the bottom at number 7. Well, Maricopa say it takes only 6 interns. So if they ranked me at number 7, then that means even though I ranked them at number 1, I would not get a spot at Maricopa. But let's say Sam, who they ranked number 1, actually ranked another internship first that ranked him 1 as well, and so Sam would go to that other internship, which would move me up the chain, and it would move me to slot number 6. And because I ranked Maricopa fairly high, obviously number 1, I would be then matched with Maricopa. So your ranking really does play a part in how you are matched. So be wise and carefully think through what programs you would really what your first choice is. But remember, you only want to apply to programs that you're going to get into. Don't apply to a program and think, I don't really want to live in North Dakota, and decline it. That's a big black mark on your record, and I will tell you, it's a very likely chance that you will never get into an internship again. So you get in, you accept regardless. So just make sure you pick programs you're going to get in, you want to get into. Note on applying. So visit each program's website and review carefully. Do they have additional requirements and fees? Sometimes they have additional questions that they want you to address in your personal statement. So please make sure you read all of their requirements. And sometimes they do this just to make sure you're paying attention, and this is how they start weeding out applicants. If they didn't follow the directions, then they don't even get considered. So just make sure you follow the directions. And the more you can learn about the program, the better. Then you can address the program's strengths in your own personal statement. Again, you're tailoring it to that program. Letters of recommendation, I mentioned this already, but DICUS will send them an email. They log in, and they also assess you on a scale of 0 to 5. 0 would be not observed, but on a lot of different things like knowledge, communication, skills, things of that nature. And then they're also given a text box to describe your strengths and weaknesses and areas of improvement. And this is typically where we upload the letter that we write for you. So this is what it looks like just on the other end. Asks how long we know you, the applicant, our relationship to you, and then answering these different questions, okay? And summary evaluation and our overall recommendation. and then the different strengths, weaknesses, and areas of improvement. And this is where we would import or cut and paste that letter. I kind of already reviewed this already. Make sure you do your research on each of the programs. And this is not a resume and essay form. I think that's the biggest mistake students make, is they just talk about what they've done and what makes them stand out, which is really another way of showing your resume. You really need to write your story and how you are going to be the best intern for their program and how you're going to benefit them. Not how they're going to benefit you, but really why they should pick you and how you're going to benefit their program. Application timeline. Just be mindful that DICUS and D&D are due on the same day, and pay attention to the time zone because DICUS is located in the Midwest, so their time zone is different than ours. Don't fall subject to being an hour late because you weren't aware of the time zone change. Submit it even if some parts are not in, like your transcripts and your letters of recommendation. They accept it even if your transcripts are not all in or all your letters of recommendation are not in. Still submit it. You don't want a late application just due to those two items. Online reordering. This means, say you know that ASU non-degree has a interview process and you didn't get called for an interview. So that kind of tells you right there that you're probably out of the running for the ASU non-degree. So D&D and DICUS give you the option, well, D&D specifically, give you the option to go in and reorder your rankings. So if you had ranked ASU non-degree first and you didn't get an interview, then it's probably in your best interest to go in and put them at the bottom of the list to improve your chances to getting into a different internship that maybe you have a better shot at getting into. Also be aware of the withdrawal deadline. You can withdraw your application after submission. Say something happened, you had a change in your life plan and all of a sudden you've decided that you cannot be applying to an internship. It happens. Just be mindful that you can withdraw it because you don't want to actually get an internship and then have to decline it because of an issue, a life issue. So just be mindful of that. There is a notification day known as match day, and you will receive an email from DICUS indicating if you were matched. And then the following is appointment day, and that's essentially accepting that internship. So the intern or the student who has been matched contacts the internship directly, indicating that they are accepting that appointment. And it's usually 24 hours to 48 hours past notification day that you need to contact the internship to let them know that you are accepting their appointment. There is a second round matching. So these are all the internships that did not fill all of their spots. The list is released and then there's typically rules, specific instructions on what to follow if an application or an internship has second round matching, and those vary on the internship. So if you decide to do second round matching, just be mindful of their specific instructions. You can always come see me and I can help you through it. I know of a number of students who have got into second round matching and they didn't get the program that they originally thought they wanted, but they ended up with a program that actually better fit their needs. So you never know. Keep second round matching in mind. How could I increase my chances? Working hard, of course, and maintaining a reasonable GPA, meaning you don't have to have a 4.0 to get into an internship, but most of them have a minimum of a 3.0, some 2.5. It's just going to vary on the internship. Getting to know your professors is very helpful, particularly when you're asking them for a letter of reference or recommendation. The more they know you, the more they can speak to you more personally in that letter. Volunteer on projects, take an independent study, research class, participate in department activities, participating in the Student Nutrition Council. They do a lot of volunteer things in the community. You get to know a lot more of the faculty that way. It's helpful to be involved. Getting work experience, volunteer experience, dietetic or otherwise, and completing that perfect application, meaning you followed all the directions. You've done and completed everything. You're not missing anything. You followed all the directions. And sitting for the DTR, that does help students set themselves apart from other applicants when they have that DTR. It shows your dedication to the field. It shows you can sit for a national exam and pass it. DTR exam's not easy. So it shows that you definitely take things seriously and you are a qualified individual. So what happens if you don't get in? Mentioned second round matching. You do have to be very quick about this. It does require quick decisions, and there are those ISPEs available. Okay, so be conscientious of those and have a backup plan to be more competitive. So get some work experience. DTR exam, I can't stress more enough that definitely is advantageous to you. Maybe take some graduate courses. It does keep your feet wet in nutrition. It does keep you in contact with some professors here. And you might find that it makes your area of interest or changes your area of interest a little bit, and maybe you pick different internships based on that experience that are better choices for you long term. So you just never know. And then there are other career choices that don't require an RD. Public health being one of them, working for WIC, school food service. I can't, say enough about the food industry and being part of manufacturing and packaging and things of that nature. So a lot of other options. Come talk to me, or you can talk to career services about other options if you don't get into an internship, or you think the RD route is just not what you want to do eventually. Lots of choices out there. So we can chat more about that if it's something that you have questions about. So that's all I have for you today. I didn't realize that was the last slide. I apologize. So if you do have any questions, please come talk to me. I'm located in Health North. I'm on the 4th floor, room 401. Or you can always email me. My address was in this presentation, and I'm happy to talk to you at any time. Thanks so much.